All right, all right. We are here a little later than normal, but we're on the sideline. I'm your host, Jeff Holden. We're here with Big O, Coach Jay, and Coach Evan Hearn. Thanks again for tuning in. This will be episode number 6, I believe. If you haven't seen the previous episodes, go check them out. And, yeah, we got a show for you today. We got some different topics to talk about. We'll go ahead and start right away with the achievements and milestones, which we don't really have any for this week. We got, high school basketball playoffs going on right now. And, we just don't have a lot going on as far as achievements. We do, however, have announcements. Again, the All-Star game, the showcase game that we're doing is June 8th. Mark your calendars. Invites have gone out. We've got quite the response, more than I thought so originally. So that's a good thing to see a bunch of local athletes wanting to play in it, So that'll be pretty cool for them. Be pretty cool for us to see all that. Coach Hearn, you want to talk about the recruitment seminar?
Yeah, so the recruiting seminar be coming to you about mid-April. I'll, like I said, get in contact with Coach O, who's going to get in contact with his people over there at City View, trying to get us the gym over there to hold. And look for after April 15th. That is when the contact period starts. So I think after that day, that'd be a great time to get this recruiting seminar started, and hopefully I can give you guys some insight on that thing.
So tell us a little bit about, when you did the one before.
So the one that I've done before, I do it every offseason with Ryder, but I did a recruiting seminar with Chris Evans and Coach Baird. Chris Evans at Old High and Coach Baird, who was at Hershey at the time. And then Ramon Flanagan came in with us. And it was pretty cool. I think, for a lot of parents, it gives them, as I said, some insight of what to keep up with. As I was talking about before we got on, the NCAA is changing constantly. And so the more knowledge you can have, the better. And maybe hearing it from people like myself or maybe Ramon Flanagan, if he's able to come, it just, you can use us as a resource to have.
Yeah, for sure.
Knowledge is power.
Yeah, no doubt. And then we'll go ahead and mention something new that we haven't really mentioned yet, but we've been kind of working behind the scenes, is the 7-on-7. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, we're gonna try to do 7-on-7. We're gonna try to shoot for May as the timeline that we're gonna try to do that. That way that the schools can kind of get a 7-on-7 team together and be able to participate in this event before they break for summer. The main reason we want to do that, our hope is to be able to hopefully get some colleges out here, to have an event where kids can showcase their skills. 7-on-7. It's going to be a varsity 7-on-7 tournament. This year, we hope to grow it to be a little bit bigger than that next year. But you want to start somewhere small. But hopefully, at the end of the day, we're going to do this, give everybody an opportunity to showcase their skills. At this, it's pretty much we're doing the local teams. So everybody, get an opportunity to be able to have some fun, close out, before they go in their summer break.
Yeah, and that's something we haven't really hashed out all the details yet, but more details to come on that for sure. Other than that, man, our achievements, milestones, our announcements, that's pretty much it. We got a couple things else we want to talk about real quick before we get into a very what has been said, a controversial topic. But first thing we want to say is good luck to the Nakona Lady Indians. Yes. They have left today for their state tournament. They play Wellington in the first round, which Wellington is, they've earned their spot there, so they're going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah, good luck to the Lady Indians from here on the sideline. We hopefully, Megan Meekins was our first guest, so we're always rooting for her. They play 10 a.m. on Friday morning.
One thing I want to say about that, when everybody can kind of put their input on it, we got to get the state tournament out of the Alamo Dome. Like we got to get that back at a college campus.
Yeah.
Something like it's bad setting. I've watched the games. The backdrop is terrible. The seating.
The last time I was there, I watched a baseball game.
Did you?
It was like a Texas Rangers and Astros like a preseason game.
That setting is just not for basketball. Like when, of course, back in my heyday, I guess you could say, when we played it was at UT, and that experience was I think it's just way better experience. It's made for basketball. Mm-hmm. It's just a way better setting.
I think what happened though is you kind of run into the issue. I agree with what you're saying, but I think what happened was because college basketball is still going on, and
March Madness,
and just trying to plan out and being able to have the stadium available. So UIL was kind of having to work around their schedule. Now they can just flat out set because they know where the locations are going to be at. I would even say that there's some extremely nice high schools. I would even rather have it at these big, massive.
The Alamo Dome, when you're not filling that thing up.
No.
Like you're not filling.
It's too far south, man.
So
It's 6 hours for us.
Even those event centers, when I went to Midwestern, we played the conference tournament in the really nice event center at Allen. There was a really, really nice one. It's not as big as Alamo Dome, but you don't need nothing as big as Alamo Dome because, again,
That's huge.
Playing in an empty stadium for state just doesn't feel right. Like, because when we was at Texas, even though it wasn't just Burke fans or Kennedale fans who we lost to in the championship game, it was it was sold out. There was no empty seats, just people coming there and play. But it's a better setting for basketball.
Yeah, I agree 100%. There was something I was going to say, but I think I forgot. Yeah, so Nakona plays 10 a.m. Friday morning. Actually, I know they're not on our coverage area right now. Again, people, be patient with us on this coverage area thing because we do want to expand. We made the small mistake of not covering some schools that are really, really ended up being really good. Like right now, I'm going to mention Newcastle, the Newcastle girls, the Lady Cats. I mean, they're also in state. They play tomorrow morning.
Yes, sir.
So good for them, and good luck to them from on the sideline and
Who's
all of
Newcastle
940.
Is that the girl that we seen that was really?
Yeah, the Maddie
That's
Dollar.
Maddie
The
Dollar.
Maddie Dollars, yeah.
Maddie Dollar's dad came in. He's the coach, and obviously a great coach. Maddie Dollar's phenomenal player.
She actually
we
played.
We get to cover her next year. So
I want to say she actually played in the 2A state championship
Martinsville, right?
in Martinsville last year, and they lost to La Penn, the team that Nakona beat this year.
Yeah. So, and they're back in it.
Yeah, Martinsville
on the other side.
Are they? Oh, dang.
So they're perennial, is what I hear. I don't know much about it, but hopefully we'll find out. I mean, I'm excited for Nakona. I don't know if you guys saw the stuff on Facebook where they did the welcome back and
that was pretty cool.
That's pretty.
Yeah,
that's that small town stuff.
That's a small town, and that was kind of how I got my coaching career started. Was at small town 2A, and it's nothing like small town ball. I mean, you know everybody from the kids, their parents, all the students, the lunch lady, the
and
office
everybody's
worker,
showing up.
and everybody's showing up. I mean, when it's sports time and your team is on a run, like the Lady Indians, or even like Windthorst or Munster who've won state in the past is one of those where the whole town is shut down and they're gonna all come out and go watch.
Yeah, they declared the National Lady Indian Day today, so that's pretty cool. We'll jump over to the boys' side. I mean, how cool. I mean, unfortunately, City View and Holiday, they're in the same side. So,
the 940.
But I mean, we got City View playing Shallow Water at 6 p.m. in Friendship. We got Holiday playing Childress. Actually, sorry, Holiday plays Childress first, I believe, at 6 p.m. City View plays Shallow Water, 7:30, same place. I'm hoping to be there. I'm going to take. I reached out for a media pass. I'm hoping I can get down there with my camera and do some more recording for those kids.
Get Jeff to Lubbock.
Yeah, everybody needs to give me a ride.
Go fund me.
Get a taxi or lift or something. That'd be expensive, probably. But yeah, I mean, unfortunately, and you know, like we mentioned, Newcastle girl on the girls' side, we got Benjamin on the boys' side, who again, you know, wasn't a team we decided on initially. We're gonna expand to both Newcastle and Benjamin as soon as we can, and yeah, I mean, of course, you got Grayson Rigdon. That kid is
on fire. Social media, he is
so
on
he's
fire.
blown up. Good for him. But yeah, man, it's pretty awesome. We started with basketball, and we have such an awesome. We still got 3 good teams in our district, still going for it. You know, if we can get one more team to go to the state to represent, that would be phenomenal.
It's been a good year for basketball.
It has. So thank all of you guys for supporting us during this time, and hopefully we did okay, and we'll get better next year.
Do better next year for sure.
We'll
Gonna get better and better.
yeah. I mean, we're just getting started. We got baseball coming up, we got track coming up, softball coming up, and then
Summer
all the
sports,
events we're
AAU
going to be
sports.
trying to go put forward and stuff. So stay tuned, stick around, enjoy. A lot of people have come out and said that we're doing a great job. And then we have a couple people that might be intimidated by us, or might be upset with us for some of the things that we've said or we've done. Again, we're not politically correct at On the Sideline, but we will support our student athletes as our number one. Like we're gonna fight for those kids out there that are doing all this and need the support from some adults that may not get support from adults. Like that's our main goal is the kids, which allows me to segue into our first little controversial topic that we want to talk about. Is there was a newspaper article put out about one of our athletes. It was about the whole team. I mean, there was, everybody's read it, everybody. The biggest thing I think is the angle of which the writer might have made it seem like he was coming from, but inadvertently it seems like it was a different angle.
It's just the headline was bad, like from the beginning, the headline, and then when I read the article, it started off really, really bad. It got good at he kind of switched gears or made a left turn or right turn at kind of in the middle of it, but it was just too much negative. I feel like in a thing, we get it, all of us. When we talked about it off air, we all said the same thing. We know in sports media and any type of media, negativity, controversial. That sells. The clicks that they got off of that article, they definitely got what they wanted.
Good for
I
them.
guess you can say.
Good for them.
Yeah, that
57,000.
that's the interactions. That's
where it was at. 57,000.
Yeah.
And I mean that was in 2 days.
Yeah.
57,000 in 2 days. Just was it was crazy numbers. But I think one thing I will say before you guys, I'll let you dive. I think at the end of the day, when you're playing high school basketball, you're playing according to the high school basketball rules. We all understand this, but I think the one thing that I think a lot of people were the most upset is you can have that opinion. It's cool, but this kid belongs to your community. Some of the stuff that he said in the article, I think that should have been what he tried to highlight the most instead of he basically he was kind of like talking two-headed monster because he was agreeing with them, but this, agreeing with them, but this, and I'm like, come on, like you're not, it's not. And then I think the blow that nobody liked was put an asterisk by. Yeah. I think that when you put that put an asterisk by it, I don't know if it was dry humor, sarcasm, but I think the timing was off. Toby McDuffin, I think I'm saying his last name right. I'll be butchering his last name. He came in and he's trying to come to his back, rightfully so, because he's trying to speak to the heart. He's trying to speak to the heart of what the intentions was, which I get that part. But I think sometimes as an analyst person, because we have to do that as ourselves. Like last week, we had situations where before we even talked about last week, we made it very clear that we want to make sure that the young ladies understood the importance of we wasn't trying to take anything from them. So I think the biggest thing is how it was wrote. I think wordplay is very powerful. And like my mom always tell me this too, and I mean y'all probably people tell you this. Things that are with words come across way different than an actual sit down or
Oh yeah.
me
person.
looking at you.
Mhm.
Like
Text
I know he
messages, all
doesn't
that.
have the platform to physically be talking, but the things that you put to paper, to me, it cuts deeper
Yeah.
than somebody actually talking to me.
Before y'all get on it, that's one thing that I want to bring up. The newspaper clip that we shared in our group was disgusting. Like that, it didn't have to go there. Like you already got your article off and everything else, and the clipping with the kid's picture and the headline right there. Like we talked about. I can't remember who said it, but like people's grandma can't even cut this out and clip it up, and you know what I mean. It should have been more big time game winner. And you could have talked about that in the small print almost. Like you could almost added that all the other stuff in the end, but can't even missed out. We messed up a kid's big opportunity, mom, to blow that picture up, cut that out the newspaper,
Yeah.
and make it a big deal because what they chose the headline to be.
And I can't wait until William Jordan II gets in here because we're bringing him in.
Yeah.
You know, and the kid right now is just balling out. I think he had 35 points last night.
Yeah, 35.
Was it last night? Yeah, last night. I mean, and how's he handling it? You know, like, I don't know, man. Like, I never really got articles wrote against me.
We only
wrote
got
for
one
me,
media.
You know? So like,
we only got one real media outlet. There's only one newspaper. So at a time that you hit a game winner, or the time that you're leading your team on your senior year in a deep run in the playoffs, you can't even count on your own newspaper writers to be, like big you up. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I know. Like, my thing is like, all right, never mind the fact that this kid knows the game well enough to realize, okay, and I don't know what the situation was, how many timeouts they had, if they had any timeouts, whatever. He knows there's 4.52 seconds left on the clock. He knows that he wants the ball in his hands. And he's going to drive the whole court, go by at least 2, maybe 3 defenders with a reverse left-handed offhand layup at the buzzer. I mean, that in itself is amazing. And then you put this thing out where you're like, I timed it myself, and it comes up 5.5 seconds.
that was too
like,
much. Yeah.
come on, man.
But I think-
like that, you don't even have to say that.
Yeah,
Just
they didn't have
good
to.
game, awesome game winner. Like, let's move on. Like, there's plenty of
Did
stuff.
he get it off? Question mark. Leave it there.
Yeah.
You know, like you said, I think it's a big deal. You know, when you talk about the hometown media, to me that would have been different. Maybe it came from the Wall.
Yeah,
you
a lot
know,
of different,
media. Because then I would understand
expected.
their point. I mean, and if I was those fans at Wall, I would have been screaming, "No, he didn't get that off." But I think we should congratulate him for what he did. Like you said, getting the ball and taking it the length of the floor, and let's expound on that versus did he get it off or not? Was it in time, or put an asterisk by it? Because I think it takes away from the kids, the student athletes. We want to rejoice them and put them, on higher echelons, not to bring them down. And
Yeah.
like you said, it's unfortunate, and is when you read those words, it's hard because I take into context what I read versus maybe how he wanted it presented and be able to conversate with you.
One thing too that there's like 4 to 5 different videos, and every video is a different angle, different perspective,
Different sound.
like
of the
different
buzzer.
sound. I'm like, so it's one of those things where let's just talk this real quick. And everything, so being at the game, how the game they missed their first free throw. Coach Jackson calls a timeout. Excellent job by him. He was able to get the play that he wanted, what he wanted to do. And a lot of people don't know in the Holiday game, he called timeout as Sylvia was doing that exact same situation where they were inbounding the ball real fast. Holiday was cheering because Keaton just hit a big three. They were off. Holiday was literally caught off guard. They wouldn't have been able to defend, and he had more time. So I think Coach Jackson learned something from that. So he went back
Good point.
He went back to that. He was like, they make this layup, we're getting the ball in quick because, 4.52 seconds, we won. Like, those kids weren't thinking about it. And you seen the wall defenders. They weren't back.
They didn't.
Said go.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
And they was catching up. They were trying to catch up.
So I talked to my big brother about this because we were laughing about it. He said, have you ever had to work the scores table before? And I was like, nah. He's like, bro, layup go in, you're typing the point. Now you're not point looking. So their eyes is down. So if there was a delay, the delay wasn't intentional. It's she's typing bucket, but Cityview did it so fast. By the time she realized it was.
Well, the thing is, like,
human error.
it's human error.
That's what I'm
That's
saying.
the biggest thing. It's like, we're not playing in the NBA where you can run this
I'm
back.
not saying it
or-
brings you to my next point. You need the hand switch, you know, and most clocks do not have that hand switch. And by hand switch, I mean you hold it physically in your hand.
That's
and
what the NBA
you can
does.
click it, and that's
You can
what
see the dude,
higher,
and that's all they do.
And
Like,
that's
they
all they
Yeah,
do.
that's-
And so
they
now
pay-
I
gotta
can
touch
get it
anything.
Six
quick.
figures to sit there and click the
but,
time.
But most of these clocks are you got to push it down with
Yeah,
your
push the
hand. And by
lever.
that time, William Jordan might have taken 2 or 3 dribbles by now. You know, you anticipate, but you don't want to start it too early because
Well, the
you'll
other
hear
thing
from
is,
fans.
like, if you look at both referees, I mean, the one from the angle that we had where, he's going from left to right, you have a referee right before you who signals good, and you have the other referee underneath the basket who signals good. I'm not sure where the other referee was at, probably and trailing on the opposite side, but both referees. I mean, it would have been even more probably controversial if one ruled one way, one ruled the other.
Just like-
but they both ruled the same way,
Just
and
like O
that was
said-
it.
Just like O said, and I've seen it, played sports. We've been playing. All of us been playing around sports our whole lives. Right there, a ref or fan, you should want the boys to kind of settle it. Wall had kind of a chance to get up and play some defense, and like if as a ref, I'm like, these boys are deciding this.
I'm gonna leave that alone.
These
I ain't
boys
calling
are
no
deciding
foul,
this.
none of
Like,
that.
like these boys are deciding this. He makes a bucket. He makes a bucket. If like it'd have to be blatant for me to say no good.
But
you know?
I just hate that how good of a play it was.
Oh yeah.
Like how good of a finish, how good of a to go the baseline. I mean, he could have moved out. He could have went out of
There's
bounds
no luck
on
Like-
both the
like, you
sideline
see
and underneath.
Lucky.
Like it just
You
it was
see
just
lucky game winners, backboard, just not the shot
Yeah.
doesn't look good. Like that was skill. That's skill. That's a 6'4", 6'5" dude driving the length of the
You had to
floor.
practice
He's
some
made
of
that.
that.
Like
Practice.
He's made that play
He's
before.
done that before in his
I'm about to
life.
say it wasn't a Cavs versus.
yeah,
Now that's luck.
3-4 buzzer beater.
The,
Max
the
Drew.
second
I can't
longest
believe you
game
brought
winner
that
ever.
up, bro. I'm still upset
I
about
had
that.
to.
I don't want to talk about
But no,
it.
I
They
think if-
did bounce back
Yeah,
tonight.
I
though,
think
so.
if we just continue to praise, Bubs, William Jordan, I think we do that. The article or
I mean, I
however it
think
gets
it's-
written to get that'll be the bad part. But
Oh,
we
yeah,
just
for
continue
sure.
to praise him, because
Stay on the right side of history.
he did his job and he's carried his team now to the regional tournament.
Yeah, and speaking of the regional tournament, I mean, there's an opportunity where we get a third game between City View and Holiday. I mean, it's obviously more uphill, I think, for City View than Holiday. With City View playing Shallow Water, who I think we discussed has some big dudes.
I actually looked at some film on them last night. They're not as big as they've been in the past. Shallow Water, that district, Shallow Water, Childress, I don't know what they're doing in that district, but they play excellent team basketball. They're not a bunch of athletic kids. They just play extremely well with each other. Shallow Water does have some shooters. I feel like they were better 2 years ago because they had a coach there. He had brought a couple of his sons, but he's no longer there no more. But Shallow Water has been a team for the last 3-4 years. They've consistently been in a regional tournament, consistently making it to state. No, they would lose to Brock the last 3 years. They've lost to Brock to go to the regional finals. So getting past, Brock's out. So, I mean, they're looking at Seaview like, are you going to be the new Brock? Like, they get there, and then they just lose. And then Childress, who finished last year, ended up going to state. So this is the first time that it's ended up being Holiday handle business this year, but this is the first time in a long time that you've had two districts represent the regional tournament.
And I think the big thing
That's
is,
pretty awesome.
Shallow Water, they've been the top team out there, not only in the Panhandle but statewide. And now with the regional tournament being 25, 30 minutes from where they are, this pressure, how you handle pressure, the teams that are coming in, Holiday, City View, and Childress, their fans are going to travel, but obviously Shallow being so close is going to be the home team, and can they be able to handle the pressure under that circumstance?
Man, what do we got to do to get the Region 1 at Wichita? Look, because we got to get those Region 1s in Wichita, because it's been in Lubbock forever. Because back in
It was like that.
We'd probably start by getting a better turnout at the K. Yeager event. I mean, we have 5A, and it's not even –
nobody comes.
It's hardly anything.
But that may be a topic we can talk about another time, because that was something I thought about too. But
you got to think about this too. Like, consistently, those teams out that way, they make it to the regional tournament.
Yeah.
So they have home field.
We had to play Lubbock, Escato, and was it Brownsville? Is it
Brownfield? Field, yeah.
Brownfield.
And they're 30, 45 minutes from Lubbock,
We played Lubbock Escato at Lubbock at Tech, and then we played Brownfield at Tech. It was like
home game.
These are home games.
Shallow normally, the couple years ago when Cityview made that state run, Shallow Water, I walked in, I was like, is this like, where's that school at? Dude, it's packed. You would think, you would have thought that. I mean, it was so bad that they were filling up the stadium this was a college stadium when they played at I forgot the name of that college that they
Lubbock
played
Christian,
at. Lubbock Christian.
Yeah, LCU.
It literally, the way their stance was, Shallow Water basically took up their side and mainly both sides of the little side part. I'm like, God almighty. Like,
hey, do we know about like schools offering bus rides for the students? Do they do that?
State.
Like
I know Burke did it when we went to, of course.
For state.
They did
What
it for
about
state
regional?
runs.
I haven't seen. It just depends on.
I know when
the
Hershey
schools.
went to state a couple years ago, there was a big deal about their cheerleaders didn't get a ride. They didn't have any transportation
Did they have a fan
over there.
bus when they went?
When we went, we didn't do a
the
fan
Twins
bus.
didn't
I mean, the fans in Cityview, man, if they gonna get up and go, they gonna find a way. They'll figure it out,
Cityview's such a small community.
It's
they're
1,500 square foot, literally.
Big as our table here.
Man,
Now, I'm going to call out the ADs, man. We want more fans to be allowed to make the games, starting at the regional tournament. I think that's pretty fair.
I think what
I mean, it's just a drive to Lubbock or
everything.
like
I think it's just the liability behind it. Schools don't want to deal with the
kids.
So I think booster clubs. Let's put it back on the boosters. Something like that. You have to, because when I was at my school at Everman, what our booster club would do was we would get the price of a charter,
sell tickets
for charters, but it was understood that we were not only selling tickets for the fan charter, we're going to mark that price up a little bit so that we can have charters for the players. So we would have a fan bus chartered. We would have our band would be on the charter bus, and the football team would be on 2 charter buses, because we were carrying our roster. We were carrying about 100 kids in the playoffs, and we were a 3A school. That was crazy. Well, 3A
Somebody
now
cheat.
That's that
Somebody-
That's how you got them rings.
Them DFW wiggle.
all right. Hey.
Them lines.
Before we get too crazy, let's go ahead and take a small break, get a word from our sponsors. We'll be back shortly with a big topic. See you shortly. The realtor we trust is Kim Roart, given to others with love. Kim was raised in this community and has been selflessly serving for over 20 years. Kim encourages everyone to thrive in their purpose. Kim is part of the Homes for Heroes program, where she gives back a portion of her commissions from each closing to all military, firefighters, law enforcement, healthcare, and educators who use her services. Whether you're looking to buy or sell, Kim is the realtor for you. Go check out the website at homesforheroes.com. Since starting from scratch in 2020 by longtime resident of Clay County, Bob Belcher, Duck Creek Disposal has quickly become one of the most trusted waste disposal service and dumpster rental companies serving the 940 community and the surrounding areas. Local to the core, they take immense pride in being a part of the Wichita Falls community. Duck Creek Disposal's deep roots mean that every customer is treated like a neighbor. Their promise is to guarantee the best customer experience in the area, and they live by it. Whether you're a homeowner, contractor, or business, they've tailored their services to suit varied requirements. Bob's hands-on approach and belief in personal connection means that when you call Duck Creek Disposal, you're experiencing a standard of service that Bob himself envisioned. You talk to real people, not a machine. Go give Bob a call at 940-257-5660. Serving the 940 community for 12 years, Allegiance Electric and Controls is the trusted go-to for commercial and industrial electrical solutions. Contact them for reliable, tailored services to keep your operations running smoothly. Please call or visit their website at aecllc.com. For all your paving and concrete needs, we trust Freeman Paving, LLC. Located in Vernon, Texas, Freeman Paving is our recommended business for concrete, paving, and dirt work. They have over 20 years of experience working right here in our community. Next time you need any concrete work, give them a call, 940-552-9496. If you're looking to treat yourself to a delicious dessert, then Yogurt Journey is the place to be. Yogurt Journey offers 12 delicious flavors of frozen yogurt with over 60 topping options. If you want something warm instead, stop by to enjoy an amazing funnel cake, fried Oreos, fried brownies, or fried candy. Yogurt Journey also offers frozen yogurt rolls, waffle frozen yogurt rolls, and smoothies. If you need a cake for your next celebration, Yojo provides custom frozen yogurt cakes. Yogurt Journey is located on Kemp Street across from Barwise Middle School and is open daily from 12 to 9 p.m. For all your roofing-related needs, we choose Assured Roofing and Construction. At Assured Roofing and Construction, their hard work is based off honesty, loyalty, and integrity, ensuring that every customer gets what they deserve and is happy and stress-free throughout the entire process. When any storm damage occurs to your roof, gutters, fencing, or siding, Assured will have you covered and help you from the initial free inspection to filing your claim, meeting with adjusters, and getting your damaged property fixed properly. Give AJ a call at 940-782-1194. All right. We are back from the break, and man, do we have a topic. Well, people may not think it's a topic, but we got real heated
The fireworks have
in
went off.
in the chat, we'll say. The good thing about this topic is it is between the four of us. It's split 2 and 2.
Yeah.
So there's no like growing up, whatever you have, like multiple friends staying the night when you're growing up. And it's like everybody picked on somebody's side. Well, it's 2 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
We're even. So we're coming at it.
No one's gonna get jumped here.
Nobody. Yeah. We're not going to be throwing any elbows or anything like that.
Yeah, we're spaced out in there.
Unless
We're
y'all
going to be.
have
Yeah.
1,000 subscribers.
I think I'm already getting warm. I'm already getting warm. Like I'm getting warmed up. Because, all right, so let me word this correctly. Because as soon as I start saying this, O's going to flip up. He's going to go off.
Those no elbow promises go out the window.
Yeah. So,
right.
all right. So, we're going to start this. So I had to reword this because we was going to put it in the thing for a bit. But so, all right. The topic is competitive level of the athletes amongst the classifications. So, Class 1A, Class 2A, 3A, 4A, 5A, 6A. Is the competitive level higher the higher the classification? Like 1A compared to 4A. I mean, and we agreed that it's not much in the lower A's, like 1A to 3A or 3A to 4A. But my standpoint is the higher the classification, the higher the competition. And I'll kind of go first. My biggest thing is that you're going to have your 1s and 2s that are studs. You're going to have those stud players. You're going to have on both sides, boys and girls, any level. You got 1A studs, 2 or 3 on a team. You got 6A studs, 2 or 3 on a team. The biggest difference for me is, and y'all get a chance to talk. Don't worry. Breathe. Breathe, though.
Oh, we're ready. I'm loading the clip.
Load
the clip.
Yeah.
I'll let them go finish.
So it's not the 1 and 2, the 2 or 1 to 3 good, really good players on your team. It's the role players for me. And the reason I say this is because in 1A schools, you have the kids that play year-round in their respective sports, regardless, because they're the ones that want to either go to the next level or really competitive. Parents are really competitive, whatever. So say, for example, 1A. and I'm going to the extreme here because 1A and 6A. So 1A schools, what's the attendant? What's the like? How many kids are in 1A?
You want to know the cutoff? I'll pull it.
Yeah, I
for you.
think
Okay, well, not really the cutoff, but let's say 40 kids.
just overall, I mean, you're
50
graduating with
kids.
maybe kids of 10, maybe 20 on the high end. You know, and that's 6-man football. But even like from a basketball standpoint, I mean, 20 on the high end, maybe, 25, 30. But you're not graduating with that many.
Yeah, so basically you got your 1, 2, 3, maybe 3 really good players that, stand out. But then you've got to select 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 3 to 7, say, alternatives or role players is what I say. And nothing to take against role players because I was a role player.
Yeah, but I was in basketball.
Everybody has their own duty. But those role players, and I have to select from 15, 20 kids versus in a 6A, and this gradually increases due to number size, which is the classification. And I go to a 6A where I can choose 6 or 7 kids from about, 800 kids, say, or more maybe?
Yeah.
The competition, to me, you're going to get better kids at that level, the better role players at 6A than you're going to get at 1A. And I think that's about as factual in my eyes, in my head, that you can get.
I like how he said that. Factual.
You can go first.
I'll go first.
And I
There's
think,
no facts in
and he,
Go ahead,
and I
Evan.
just want to make sure we don't get on Jeff when he keeps saying 1A. He just, as he's saying, he's putting it from 1A to 6A, but he's including all the small.
And he
schools.
went
Go ahead.
extreme. He said
Yeah,
he admitted that he went extreme.
Yeah,
So
I
that's
just
not a
wanted
problem.
to reiterate that, so
He
we don't.
had no
So
sleep
we
today.
won't be getting.
So
And my mic is the loudest, so I will cut y'all off if y'all get. No, I'm just
mute us.
kidding.
No,
Go ahead.
So I feel like my main argument is that it's not those schools' size that's the biggest factor. I feel like it's the culture that those kids are brought up in and the competitive nature. And I don't think like those areas are so good not because of the size of the school. It's more the culture and the environment they have to grow up in and being in a bigger city or something like that. So I'm gonna use my personal experiences and my the way everybody knows that what I do. And I would say if the only difference in a city kid and a Burkburnett kid, only thing different is the things they have at their disposal and the people that they have disposal and the competition level. Those are that's more the difference in a Burkburnett kid and a kid that lives in Duncanville. The kid that lives in Duncanville lives and breathes what he's doing at that time, I guess you can say, or the sport that he says he loves, and more people, and he sees it. Duncanville's had McDonald's All-American pros all through their program the last 4 to 5 years. I guess you could say they got a pro, a dude that got drafted lottery last year, a dude that would get drafted lottery this year, and I feel like it's more belief. Mm-hmm. Like there's more belief if I walk these hallways and see that picture of Anthony Brown, and who plays for the Orlando Magic right now, and the belief of that kid goes up, right? Like, and if my son walks through the hallway at Burkburnett this next year, oh dang, I think I might have just dropped the bomb. Can we edit that one out?
See me
and see myself or nobody that really made it. There's no pros. There's no pros that went to Burkburnett. So just the culture they're raised in and the culture that they're living in, I feel like that's a bigger factor than the size of the school. Now, I'm not saying that you're totally wrong with your opinion or your fact, but we kind of talked about this. we kind of talked about this in our chat. Is if every kid or every parent put their kid through what I put my kids through, like daily, daily, it's a lifestyle. Everything we do is basketball. Everything we do is football. Like the sports that we're playing, we wake up, we work out, we do what we got to do. If every kid believed in that type of talent lies in anybody. Like I seen a great quote, and we probably can share it. Jeff can probably edit it into this right here from Ray Allen talking about talent. He doesn't believe in talent. He doesn't believe in talent because people know who Ray Allen is because of the thousands and millions of shots he got up, the hard work he put into his craft. So this belief that, and I don't think me and O totally disagree with y'all's point when y'all say this, but like that doubt that we create that we're supposed to lose because they're 6A or because they got more kids. Some of those 6A schools have bad programs.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Like some of those 6A schools just don't have they have 3,000 kids, but nobody really takes football or basketball or tennis or something like that. And so it doesn't matter if the culture's bad. I feel like if the culture's bad, I don't think you have good no matter where you are.
I think you'll get that in, like you said, you're not going to have that on every program.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be crappy, or I don't say crappy, I don't want to really say that, but there's going to be bad 6A teams. There's going to be bad 1A, bad 4A. And I definitely believe if you go to one of those schools that have produced pros or whatever, like, yeah, that culture around there, like that's how you create like perennial powerhouses and everything like that. But in generally speaking, and I know I brought generally speaking up a lot, you're going to have a higher competition at the higher classification.
But why?
Because of, in like my facts that I said,
Your opinion.
my opinionated facts is because the role players. Because, I mean, ideally, yes, if you have a whole team, if you have 10 kids that wake up and breathe football every single day, or basketball every single day, or 20 kids that breathe football you're going to be great. But I'm talking about just like in general, like when you go out and you watch a basketball tournament of all, say there's 3A teams all the way up to 6A teams. Do you not, and say each team has 2 or 3 good players, you don't think that the 6A teams are going to end up at the top of that tournament?
Why would you say the role players are better? Like, what's your opinion? Just give me.
I think I can piggyback too.
Yeah, go ahead. Let's see what Evan says about that.
I was gonna let O speak, but I'll
one.
I'll
You
help
can go last.
Jeff. But that's my opinion. I mean, my opinion.
Evan's on the good side.
My fact is
the bad guy.
Is I've had the opportunity to coach at the smallest level of 11-man and the highest classification in the state of Texas. And so where I sit on the fence is, as you say, everybody's going to have a star, whether it's football or basketball, but it's what else can you bring to the table, And I feel like, obviously, the higher the classification, the better the others are, And there's nothing wrong with being the other, Mm-hmm. Football was my deal, but in basketball, I was a role player, so I was perfectly fine with that.
No.
I played my part, and I just feel like where in Plainview I was at 4A, which is now 5A. Myself as a role player on the 4A level, if you would have took me and put me in a lower classification, then my chances
like
would
a
have
2A
been
or a 1A.
Yeah, I would have been greater, and it doesn't change who I was. I was still the same person. But I feel like when it come down to it, where I was a role player here, there you move me down a level. I'm now maybe a star. I don't know, But that's just how I feel.
Let me get in there. Y'all on the same side. Hold up.
Not back to back.
I dare you. All right, so let me say this.
All right, let's get a break in.
So this is where I got a few nuggets, but I'm gonna just say this one first. So for me, where me and Jay agree is this is what I'm saying. We understand that there's more kids to choose from. That's obvious. There's thousands of kids versus down at the 1A level. There's their maximum amount is
tens of kids.
104 versus. But this is what we're getting. This is what I'm getting at. Talent is talent. It doesn't matter if you go to a school with 1,500 kids, a school with 100 kids. Talent is talent. cultural, and it's not about your school. It's about the community that they live in. So, for example, let's use Ryder as an example. Everybody in this community makes Ryder God when it comes to football. Will we agree to that? In this community,
Yeah,
right?
in this area for sure.
But I guarantee you have kids that can from Burke and all over, Holiday, City View, Archer. We just seen it with a kid that came from Archer, went
Couple of 'em.
and went and balled. So that's the part that I'm trying to say, that these kids that are talented at this level can play at that classification. The competition, I say that the competition is greater is because what you guys saying to agree with you saying, it's because of the culture of the mind frame that we've set in.
Yeah.
We've said that 6A is supposed to be the best. So naturally, if I'm living in a smaller community, that's why you see so many kids leave from where they're at, because they feel like the only outlet that they have is that they have to get to this bigger
Do
school.
they feel like that, or is that
No, they feel that way. I've talked to multiple college coaches. If you're getting to these camps and these satellite camps and you're getting in front of them, you have to do it more so if you're at the smaller schools than the bigger schools. But if you're getting in front of them, you're going to get that opportunity. If you can ball, if you're a player, if you're that guy, a college coach knows that guy, whether he's at a 1A school or a 6A school. The difference is the communities have made, I'm telling you, I've seen it happen. I use South Lake Curl as an example. South Lake has won in every classification. So that means they won in 3A, moved up 2 years later, turned around, won back-to-back in 4A. 2 years later, moved up to 5A and won back-to-back. These kids are not changing. So my thing is, what made South Lake Carroll be able to do that?
because they're good and all the kids are coming to them?
So no.
It's a culture.
They're still down there with the Duncanville.
But since then now,
They're still relevant.
but they haven't won.
They did go. They just was there when they
Right. I get you
When
there.
they-
I get you
Austin
there.
Westlake.
No, Austin Westlake.
But
You
that
know
was
it.
that- that was
And it was
dad
the
against-
it was
dad against son.
the messed up region, and I don't understand that six. And we can talk about that on another debate because
Argyle's another
yeah,
team that's
Argyle,
been-
you know,
been
and that's
going
and that
up and up and up.
can use that as an example.
So we'll talk about how this started, because I think I pinpointed the exact start to this.
Evan did it.
And
Be it.
the
Sure did.
argument was that
Hey, if she can't,
If-
I can't nobody do it.
if we took a 1A player and put that player into a 5A, just generally speaking, we're not talking about this district and this district, our districts or nothing. If you take a 1A player, and mind you, there are some that could very well do it at every level.
Oh yeah.
But generally speaking, you take a 1A player that is really good in 1A and you put her or him in 5A. There's no way.
You can't say no way.
Can't say no way.
That's where
All
the mistake
right,
goes.
I won't say there's no way. Statistically,
You can't say statistically. Where do you have the stats that show that?
I personally think
It's a personal. There you go.
statistically.
Yeah.
No,
There
just
we
say
go. We can give
personal.
that.
Yeah, I just
Okay.
I just
All right,
personally
so-
think, you know.
in my statistical opinion,
Yeah, which means nothing.
which means a lot,
In Jeffrey's world.
is that player, and like I said, there's a possibility. I mean, there's plenty of kids that can do it at every level. But generally speaking, you take that player and put them in a 5A school or a 5A district, their stats are not going to be as good, only because of, back to my point, the role players. And when I say the role players, let me explain what I'm saying. You got
But hold
Say-
on, real quick. And your point, you're kind of contradicting yourself when you say that, because the role players just got better at the bigger school too, right? Now the role players at the 1A school are.
Well, that's what I'm taking the
lesser.
team, right? So
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay, yeah.
you
So
know,
take the
team
one-
back-
I can
and that's
give
where
y'all
I'm
that.
going. That's
even
where I'm
say
going.
play-
That's
give
where
y'all
I'm
that.
going.
Yeah.
we'll say that player from 1A
Mm-hmm.
has now 5A quality teammates. But you're talking about kids that turn the ball over a lot in 1A versus maybe not as much.
Not
in
all
5A.
1As do that. We
Yeah.
can't base it based off of what we.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, generally speaking, out of
But just real quick, because I'm personal, or I guess I can talk about it because I can say names because they're technically my kids. But 2 weekends ago, I took a 1A kid from Roland, Oklahoma, a kid from Henrietta, three kids from Burkmanette, Texas, another kid from a 3A in Texas. Or was the other kid? Oh, there was 2 kids from Roland. So I had 7 kids, took them to a national event, Under Armour shoe event, and made the Final Four, went 4-1, beat the crap out of kids from DC, New York,
but that's
Florida.
because you have trained them or they're
exactly.
So
that's
what we're
that's
saying.
what that's
But-
what we're
and-
saying.
and I
Anything
agree,
can be-
like-
yeah. I'm not saying you totally disagree with us at all, but I'm saying that's where we're coming from. That the
No,
fact of
and
it
listen-
is, you can do anything if you're willing to work your
But the
butt off
problem
to change
is,
the culture.
the problem is, and I agree, you can definitely have that. But the problem is, nobody does that
Why not?
because they all go to the bigger schools
No,
because the bigger
culture.
schools.
Look at Burke football. Look at Burkmanette football. We haven't had a consistent winning season since I was in high school. That meaning 2 back-to-back in high school. The coaches were the same. They were the same. It was just they had kids that came through that didn't care. They didn't believe in the losing. They had a group of sophomores, which was my class, that didn't losing was not our thing. So therefore they went 3-7 the year before us. We went 8-2 the next year. We like the 8-2 the very next year. It's the culture of the kids and what you can bring up to the difference.
Do you feel this? Do you feel? Let me ask you this: do you feel? And this is more so what I really do believe. I'm not saying it's fact. I ain't gonna say this. This is just my beliefs.
Factual opinion.
Do you believe that? Let's say right now that let's say some celebrity made it popular to play at the 1A schools. Do you think we would see a shift of the talent being where it would be saying? Because what happened is
I agree. I think so.
Because what happened is we've made 6A God.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is though that doesn't mean that 6A is God. Because
I mean, I can agree to that.
Because we've made it God and we've made it that this is the way. So many man, you know how many parents that I've talked to that dads have quit jobs, dads have changed professions just to be able to go and live in the district of the 6A schools.
And that's what we're saying. I think
you know, you're speaking
our
of
point
talent.
is-
I'm talking about,
our point is like that's how it is right now. 6A is like that.
but it doesn't mean
It's because
more
we've made it
competitive.
like that. To say that you can't create a culture at any level and become awesome, of course you can do that. I definitely believe. I mean, we've seen it time and time again.
I think
but as
one
in
thing
generally
to piggyback
speaking,
on what y'all think, I think it's just more common for sure. Like one, there's more money. One, they're more willingness. Like we can't. How many indoor facilities do we have in the 940? Shit, like
Gainesville.
Gainesville has one, right? That's probably the only one in 940.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's just. I feel like that's what creates the culture. One, the money, the buy-in, the parents. All that, like Evan probably can speak on this. He probably can't get certain kids to come lift weights. You know what I mean? Like the buy-in from the just because you have to. In the city, you learn from a pup, like from a baby. It's swim or drown out here. Like don't work out if you want to. Don't go get a personal trainer if you don't want to. Don't go lift weights
Yeah, you
really
ain't
early
playing.
if you don't want to. Okay, you're gonna fall. Like you might as well go do something else with yourself.
And that's why the role players are better
Yeah, think about
down there.
Mm-hmm. So,
but the fact is they are better.
The role
we
That's
they
what we're
better?
saying. So
No,
you're
the
saying
role-
they're better?
No, I'm saying the role players in the city. We're talking about. I do feel that role players like at a Duncanville, Duncanville is when you say Duncanville, you're talking cream of the crop.
yeah,
So I think so many times we base things based off of those schools. There's a bunch of 6A schools that are not good.
Yeah, you
Talk
gotta think
about-
that.
okay, talk
State
about cream of the
champions come
crop,
from
though.
the DFW. Think
Cream,
about that.
cream
Like,
of the
there's a
crop.
lot
Let's
of
bring
6A
this up
schools
because
that's
this is
bad.
this is the one thing I said that you can't beat it. Cream of the crop. You take the state champion 118 and face against the state champion 618.
You don't know what would happen. That's my thing. We got to see what type of players is on that team. That's my point.
Come on,
Like,
Jay.
I'm just saying.
I would say like this year, the 6A
5A and
champion,
2A.
the 6A champion will beat the one. I opinionated. Yes, I feel like they will win, but that you are Well, nah, I'm not saying you're acting. My bad. That was bad. But just because if I go get Sock and move them to Burke, they don't get worse. If I go get their whole roster at Sock or who?
You can take
DeSoto. If I go DeSoto, if I go
what
get
I
their
kinda
whole
said.
roster and move them to Harold, they don't lose their powers. The kids make these.
I know,
schools, though.
but you can't do that. You can't flip that though.
Yeah, and that was my argument is I can take whoever, move them down, and they stay the same. The lower classifications, I take
You can't
whoever
take
they
them
are,
and
and I move them up.
the same.
And
the players,
that is
players.
bl-
That's not.
that's
I don't.
crazy.
I can't
I
agree
don't-
with that.
I witness it every year. I have.
You
I,
can't tell me you can't take a star from a 1A school and they can't go be a
I have
star.
a 13-year-old.
I just don't think
that
you can.
plays up
I mean,
the
against
skills
all
is the
these
skills
kids.
is skills.
It does
That's
not,
what I'm
they
saying.
pick their school.
I'm
The
saying-
school don't pick them. They pick their school.
Skill is skill. A star is a star.
They pick.
No,
their,
and I agree.
It's
That's
I
why I
agree,
said
but if you're-
you do
to
have
me,
some kids.
in my eyes, if you're averaging 30 on the
Yeah.
bottom,
If
and
you're averaging
you got to
30
go
in
again
1A,
weekend, night in and night out on.
Well, I remember that, so I wanted to bring this up. I was going to bring it up on the podcast. We talked about that. City View played for Brewer. When we played Brewer and blew them out 84-54 the year that we went to state. And that was when Brewer was cream of the crop. That's just 3 years ago. So you can't tell me that those kids from City View
But
wouldn't have went and played and been starters.
the
at
thing
Brewer.
is you're bringing up like certain instances.
No, that's what I'm getting at.
That's the
I'm
only
just-
fact we have to go on.
That's what I'm saying. I'm using that as an
and
example.
I agree. We
Yeah.
agree that in certain instances,
Yeah.
yes.
I mean, yeah.
But in overall, generally speaking, like you get worse moving up. Like we're saying, you take a player that averages 30 in 1A, you can't think
'Cause,
that
I mean-
that exact player, different teammates or even the same teammates, goes to a 5A school and averages
look
the
at their
same.
skills.
If I'm going right now, if I'm going off, let's just say a top two kids that were at top of our rankings all year, Megan Minks and Keaton Bristow, they are them no matter 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A, 5A, 6A. Their stats don't change, and they're that dominant.
The only part that I do not agree, I agree with you totally, is the matchups, and to me that's where the higher classifications I can throw this many guys at you or ladies.
Keith
that-
Bristow did it on the biggest basketball stage there is,
I-
EYBL.
I'm not- I'm
And
not-
I
I'm
think
not-
that those would be like the exception.
And
that we're
to me,
talking about.
Keaton is an exception. Even Bubs, he's an exception because they got length. I don't think you're seeing. I mean, and don't get me wrong, City View did it 3 years ago. 2 years ago, Hershey did it 2 years ago. Then they ran into which South Life
Private
Academy.
schools.
South,
That's
that's
private
totally
schools.
different.
That's a cheating
But
team.
they're but you know what I mean. Like
He said that's cheating.
those kind of guys.
That's a cheating team,
That's
bro.
what you see almost. At the
But
high
they're a 4A
classifications,
school.
like day in and day out on the Tuesday and Friday night. I'm not doubting those guys. I'm just saying, it's tougher. And I go back to what you mentioned last year. Ryder, we beat Wichita Falls High in football. We beat them. Well, that same team went to the regional finals. Were they better? Were they better then? I'm just like,
I think
and
that got
it's
so much more to
it's-
do with demographics than anything. I think that's one thing that we're not talking about. We're talking about the size of schools, but not more demographic. Basketball, football are different in so many. Like Burke's schedule football the next year, they're playing nothing but smaller class kids. I don't think they're going to just run through anybody just because that's just. I feel like that's where they are talent wise, as in the culture of football. It's just not very. It's not top of the line, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like so I feel like there's more demographics. Like those dudes play basketball there. Those dudes play football. Like Vernon tennis is really, really good
And it
all
can
the
be.
time.
I
know what
think.
I think
I
it's
mean,
more
it most
demogra-
definitely
that's- I think
can
that's
be.
Me and O's
But my
biggest thing
thing
is more
is,
demographics.
and we'll go back to like I said, the role players. Just think of it this way: like in 1A, just say there's more turnovers, right? Would you say maybe in 1A
Yeah.
more turnovers, like maybe silly plays up top or quick steals, or when you have someone who's a 6A play, say a 5 or 4A player playing in a division down there, where they're not going to have 2 or 3 or 4 really good players. You're going to have a lot of turnovers.
And
up
I'll
top.
just ask you guys this because you guys are.
Well, let
you
me
see
finish.
it.
Let me finish real quick. Your turnovers, and in 5A, you're just not going to have that many turnovers. So let's just say
I don't think
that player.
But that's more where you're playing basketball, not 5A. Because there's some 5A schools that
They're
are
doing the same
awful.
thing.
There's some bad districts, not just teams. Not just teams.
Yeah,
There's
I guess,
districts and
yeah.
area. You know what I mean? That's what I feel like. That's what we can go.
And he's basing it off of a bad district.
Yeah. That's what
Like,
I'm saying. That's what we definitely agree. I can agree that there's more competition at the top of the level.
But I'm
and
just
stuff
saying,
like that.
you're gonna
find more quality
player A
teams.
is not gonna have. Yeah, you're gonna have more quality team. You're not player A is not gonna have 15 steals that results in 24 points in layups.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like the whole thing, the whole concept, like those. I mean, I can't say that they're gonna have more structure or anything like that, but I don't know. Just to me, it just seems like less turnovers. You're gonna have more. Players that
I just feel like I know
that's
what
a
you're
scheme-
saying.
but
I
it's
just
a
feel like it's
scheme.
going to be more like if you go to an area that's basketball predominant, like back when Ponder and Peaster and all of them were really like they were still small. I think they were almost
They were no football.
Yeah,
for a
go
long
ahead.
there were
time.
no football for so long. So that's all that's more like the culture. Like they played basketball and that's the only choice they had to do. So you're gonna see that. You're gonna see those schools that were 2As and stuff like that back then be so much better because that's all they got. That's more the demographics of everything. I feel like.
I want Evan to.
No, I would just
touch on
go.
what
I
he
would just because you guys are around it. I would just like to, and once again, I just say this because we're the only 5A team around. So we're kind of the
Not
oddball.
anymore. Y'all
here.
don't belong. Y'all not football anymore.
No,
You're a
no,
legacy
not now.
memorial now.
Yeah. But on the basketball realm, I would just venture to say like how many Keaton Bristows and William Bubbs are there around that they're seeing? Not tournament play. I'm just talking about just regular season. Like how you know what I mean? And that to me is where just in our district alone, we're playing Saginaw's. And yes, they're not powerhouses, Saginaw's, Brewers, and all those, and Alitos, but they're 6'2", 6'3". They have guys to match, and then they can bring off another guy
Just a
who can
physical
match.
standpoint.
And that's what I'm saying. I mean, and it's like I said, it's not a knock because I love both of those guys, and they can ball.
Like we've had this comment, we've had this conversation in our group and even in person. Ryder being the only 5A, they probably had the least amount of hoopers
Yes.
in their basketball program.
Yeah,
there was. Like they had more kids to choose from, and it didn't matter. Just
it didn't matter.
It's a football predominant.
And I don't
school.
want to make it to where I'm like, well, Ryder, if we were here, we would have did this. If we were here, brought it up. We did beat Hershey, but we lost to them twice. We beat Burke, who made it. And I'm not going to say that makes us better. Obviously, with our chances probably would have been a lot better than maybe we played in. Because they're probably the talent wise that we match up better against. But
let's just use an example. Ryder, say 5A. What was their record in district?
We were
2-8,
3-7.
3-7.
3-7, yeah.
3-7. Move them to Nakona Boys District.
Okay, but this is what you have to remember too, because you brought it up. Don't forget, it's your facts. They won't have that many kids. Remember?
No, but I'm just
maybe take their starting 5 is what we're saying.
My whole situation was taking teams and moving teams. That's where I'm coming from.
But you still would have the role players. Remember, you have more kids, so their role players.
Yeah, take.
It goes down.
I mean, if you say starting 5, because you're talking 2 or 3 probably stud players in some of the better teams, and then 2 or 3 role players.
Yeah, I just think it's demographic because you got to look at Old High. Old High, like he said, Old High went down one year.
Still wasn't good at basketball.
And they went down and had a good year in football.
Had a great year.
The very next year, fell off the cliff.
Yeah.
And then basketball, they never competed in that district and they went down. Like it's just so many different variables other than that's what I think that's what our
Every
biggest
school
thing other
caters to
than that.
the specific sport.
Yeah.
No, I agree with that for sure.
Like Alito they're decent in basketball, but they're not the Alito.
No,
that's,
they ain't football elite.
And I think that's-
Springtown's another one. Yeah.
Yeah, so
We
it's,
played them and beat the brakes off them. I was
So
like, "Ooh,
it's one of those
football,
things
never mind."
where I think I personally we're talking about a lot of that, but I think the biggest thing for me is when what the talented kids. There's a lot of talented kids that are based off of parents' jobs, location. They don't get to pick what school they go to.
And that's
I
all,
agree.
And that's all they do in the city.
So I think
about it.
my thing would be is from a player standpoint, you can't say what a kid would do in the situation because what I've learned is every great talented kid adapts to his environment.
Man.
And I can agree to that.
If
And we're not talking about the talented kids. We're talking about the role players.
I think if
That
even
changed
if you
the
put
outcome of the
even if you
talented
put the
kids.
role player, think about you move that role player, you give that kid what those city kids got. Think about that role player now.
And I agree.
Build, you know what
that
I mean?
would, but they're not that. That's not them right now.
That's just because what they have in their disposal.
Right.
Think about how many
In an
basketball
ideal
skilled
world,
trainers there
yes.
is.
In an ideal world, if everybody had the
that's what
the
you're
means
missing.
of-
I think about what we're saying is we're not saying that 6A doesn't have greater opportunity, but what the debate started is to say that I don't think that this player would possibly be able to do this at that level.
which I still don't.
Well, my argument.
I agree.
So
That's
my
yeah,
argument is that you can't say that because
I see exactly. I know what you're saying.
Like
because
day one, so you put them in that environment. Day one, yes, I feel like there'll be an adjustment period. But once they get to it, just like we seen it when taking a team in a Y, so taking your team in a Y, they play the Y, lesser competition, and they're beating the competition up. Like if the games are not competitive,
the
then they go.
YMCA down here is 0.
No. Listen. So then that next week you go play a tournament.
OFY.
You get off a tournament.
2, 3, 8.
No, those are 5A, 6A kids. You gotta think those are rich,
Getting break.
very big district kids. They just not good at basketball.
But I think you spoke to a point. I think y'all both have that. My constructive criticism versus you guys is y'all are talking about culture. Where I'm just talking about just picking up and moving the team. I'm not giving them resources.
Yeah.
I'm not doing any
I
of
think
that. I'm
that's
just
kind
saying,
of our
take these
mindset.
two teams, switch them, and what do you have?
Yeah.
And that's where that's where my debate is.
But
you know.
logistically, that you wouldn't be able to do that. I mean, let's-
No, I'm not saying. I'm not saying.
I mean,
logistically.
you can't do
I'm
that.
just saying like
Obviously.
But-
take City View and let's just say take City View and Holiday right now. Switch them with Ryder. Are they still in the region star? And maybe they are, and maybe they. That's all I'm
Only
saying.
reason what Jay said is
I get the culture aspect.
I think you have more basketball players at those schools.
Yeah.
I think what it boils
And that's why
down
I'm
to.
saying that's where the others to me do not maybe hold up their end. That's all. And
Because even in football, I like to, I'm gonna give him credit on the air. I mean, because I know right now he's going back and forth because he's not signed right now. But Dre, he came from Archer City and he's the area
state.
Let me not disrespect you. The state leading tackler in 5A. 22 sacks. And this is a kid that came from a 2A school.
Undersized.
Undersized.
My little cousin. Actually.
So you can't. A lot of people try to say this in football. He's the prime example that if you're a dog, you can be a dog. Any classification.
I agree.
Starting quarterback, right?
And
Starting
Evan, I
quarterback
wanted to
came from
ask you this too. Do you think? Because I have this debate. It's never an argument. It's a debate. From a football standpoint, schemes change.
Oh yeah.
And I think a lot of people don't understand it. You see more sacks at the 5A, 6A level because they're running more of a true spread pro style offense. Where when you start getting to that 4A, 3A,
Ground and pound.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, I mean, I was able to have the luxury of being able to coach at the smallest classification and the highest classification. I think you bring that point up very well is because of development. I mean, at the 2A school I worked at, it was 6 of us, for the junior high. My first year, 6. For the junior high and the high school, and then the next year was 5. And so it's when you have that few amount of coaches, you don't have you don't have a quarterback coach or running
Spread
back
too
coach
thin.
or receiver coach or 2 receiver coaches, you know, like we were able to have at Friendship, or 2 offensive line coaches. You know, you're having to split your time up between offense and defense, and so your scheme, you know, you may not have enough time to put that in. I'm gonna just put my player here and do this guy here. Whereas at the smaller level, you see a lot of talking about scheme, a lot of slot T mafia, because they're able to work in a quicker time with less parts. And then, you know, you get to the 5A, 6A level where you have a little more time, where it's just offense on. You know, at Friendship, we had 2 practice fields where offense only practices on this side and defense only, and I never saw the defense. You know, I never saw them during the week. You know, as far as what they were going to do, but when I was at Hell Center, it's like, oh, offense for 45 minutes. All right, 5-minute break. Let's switch to defense for 45 minutes.
So I think the same players too.
Yeah, and the same players. So I mean,
Drink out of that water hose right over there.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that you bring up a good point. Is, you know, your coaches and what these smaller schools have to work with. They have to tie that all in to, hey, we got to get this ready, put this bow on, and have it ready for Friday or ready for Tuesday or Friday night, because the amount of time and the kids and coaches getting pulled in these directions.
Little off topic. I want to ask Evan a question, because it's great what he's talking about, and something that I've been big in trying, and I wish these small town areas would get back to it. At what point do you feel like, how long do you think it'll take you? Say you're a head coach, you got your first head coaching job at a school. How long do you think it'll take you to change the culture?
I think it's funny you ask, because I've interviewed for a couple, but I think you have to start with your 6th graders that are going to be incoming 7th graders. I think you got to give that coach his time to implement that with his first junior high kids. Because by then, what is that, 5-6 years? You know, and then you can kind of see where your
They should
timeline
be
is.
eligible for varsity about what, sophomore, junior year?
Yeah, freshman, sophomore. You know,
4
depending
years? So
upon
about 4 or 5 years?
the classification. Yeah, and so to me, you that's a good indication of how that coach's culture has been put on.
I feel like I've always went back and forth. I know O2 and Jeff, because we've been working with the youth around here for so long. I feel like that's where it's kind of slippage. I feel like that's so much slippage, and I feel like even especially Burke, City View, I feel like those coaches, of course, I'm me, and I'm not expecting anybody to be me, or Jeff, but I feel like it should go even younger than that, man. Like, especially if you're at City View, or if you're at Burke, if you're at Holiday, if you're at those those high school coaches should be on those top of Texas field. Those,
and I think that to me is where
games.
you know, you talk about big school, talk about Alito. We were at a track meet, our district track meet, and their elementary school is right by their high school. Well, one of their football coaches was like, yeah, those elementary kids come over after school and they do the same workout our high school kids do. You know, obviously they dumb it down a little bit. But, you know, to me, the small school jobs I interviewed for, it was, hey, I want to get down to the junior high and maybe even elementary if I can, because not that I'm not worried about your high school kid, but this is the future right here. These juniors and seniors, they out the door. I may can save this sophomore, maybe this freshman class, but I got to start here. And I don't think, you know, school districts give coaches enough time to really change the culture. If you want a culture change, you really got to, in my mind, and that's why I say it's your incoming 7th grade. Like, it has to start there, and maybe even younger, because those are the kids that you got to reach before. Nobody can walk into, you know, some of these jobs where you go 15-0 like they do at Alito or North Shore, where you just keep it running. They don't know your name. You just let me just call this play and let's gotta do it. But, you know, some of those towns, they gotta get it out the mud. You gotta start as low as you can in elementary and maybe junior high, because that's the future in my opinion.
So for me, that's and this is good. This, like, we're still talking to big and small schools. I think the big schools don't have the luxury of doing that as the small schools do. One thing that I will say, give Coach Aldrich a shout out. He's big on the Little League programs. He makes sure that, one thing that I've noticed, that he tries to make sure he's a present face. You know what I'm saying? To make sure that I'm the director for Top of Texas, but for City View, but he makes sure I have access to whatever I need to make sure that those kids understand getting those kids the opportunity to see what it looks like in the weight room, see what the varsity locker room looks like. Getting to see those type of things. I think in your smaller towns, like you were saying, when the ADs and the from football, basketball, just imagine like, hey, Burke. I don't know if he does it or not, but if the Burke basketball coach takes some time out of his day to go show up to an AAU game or a YMCA game, how much that means to me as a parent. First off, I'm gonna be like, this guy's vested. He's vested into the community. So when you get into those jobs, the roles, I think the first culture change is the community.
Yeah.
If you can't change the community as a whole to show that you're vested in it, I don't think it's going to translate to your program, because that's when, because you got to have those parents that are up there when you mess up. Oh, coach, you got to he messed up, but coach, he gonna get it right.
He'll get it right.
Jeff can be a testament to this, and why I feel like Burke has remained a basketball school for so long is what else is there to do in Burke? What's one thing you can probably count on being
Boomtown Bay?
The basketball gym's open every Sunday.
Okay, every Sunday, Saturday too.
Well, most of the time during the week.
Most of the time during the week, you can go get
in the summertime.
You can go doing it like it's the access part, and I feel like that's where we're going with being like a culture, being a culture. And crazy that you said what you said. I remember being a freshman in high school, and Coach Nix coming to our AAU games. The dude named Andrew Brown in Wichita just threw some Wichita kids and Burke kids, and we had a real good kid named Marshall Henderson had a buoy. We all got on this local team, and Coach Nix would take his time out of his summer day and come to our AAU games. And it was like, what the heck is he doing? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's so much the culture that's how you build stuff. And I feel like that's what we're getting. We're chalking up. I feel like, yes, I can agree with y'all. When you go to cream of the crop, when you go to those 6A schools, there's better, like you're going to get better, more overall teams. I can agree to that. But I feel like that's made everyone lazy.
Yeah.
That makes everyone else in the situation, let's just chalk it up to them being in a bigger school.
I think,
you know what I mean?
like, y'all's idea of saying, hey, we're not gonna accept the fact that, we're playing a 6A or a 5A, we're going to automatically lose. Like that's what we want.
Mm-hmm.
That's what, you want to build that culture. You want to have kids motivated to do that. But I also think that, like you just said, if you take cream of the crop and line them up, I mean, there's a reason 6A.
And I wish we
6A.
could get into. I wish people would get more into the reason why those schools are so good.
But that they don't know that.
Yeah,
that's the stuff that you guys just went into in explaining. It's the culture. It's the they're a powerhouse. It's the my son is great and he's not getting the coaching, or he's not getting the things that I want him to have at this 2A level. But I know that if I take him to 5 or 6A, he's going to get what he needs, and or he's going to be seen there, or whatever the case may
get what he
be.
needs.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying.
But
you get
like
more,
we said, we can go to coach that like.
As long as the coaches are
there's some small school coaches that literally do not care. Like you know what I mean? They don't genuinely care about their job. Like they do the bare minimum. They don't try to do extra. So therefore, if like you said, if I got a stud, if my kid is a stud, and I believe my kid puts in the work in to be the stud, and I go to this 1A school, coach is not there, coach is not doing anything extra, coach is not, and this goes everywhere.
And you're the only one that's doing that.
Yeah,
the other players are not.
Exactly.
But you know what happens too? I know this is not going to be the popular thing to say. I think, Evan, you probably could test. I think sometimes when you get to the smaller classifications, those coaches, I think, sometimes get to the point where they're just at we're in 1A. We've done enough to compete at the 1A level.
Mm-hmm.
But just think if those coaches would change their mind frame to say, I'm gonna prepare my team.
But that goes down to
I'm gonna get into the elementaries. We're gonna
I mean, ideally,
I'm gonna prepare my team not to beat the 1A team.
Mm-hmm.
We're training to beat the best 6A team.
But then that, of course, falls back on, like the coach from Herald that we talked to, and he said, I can't get those bigger schools to face me, even though they know they have the team, and they're well enough to play anybody in this area. I mean, it's like, oh, well, they're, oh, you're a 1A. Like we said, it's a lose-lose, but and not knowing now, I fully expect next year to be different because they know what they have.
I think we all can agree on if like the challenging of the whole, like not just the coaches, not just the parents, not just the town, everybody. If everybody would get on board and do like what Nakona does with their youth league, there's no question why they had a D1 guard a couple years ago. There's no question why they're in state now. It's because they bought into the culture of creating a good atmosphere for basketball. Those girls, their youth league, they played nothing but Nakona kids. Like they're not even. They got a little dribblers that they play. It's just nothing but Nakona kids. Nakona is what? How many stoplights they got in Nakona? Like one.
They got a pretty good brewery.
So how the heck does Nakona breed? How do they get to this point? Because they changed the culture. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They had buy-in from
No,
everybody.
I think we all agree to disagree on the fact that me and Evan are probably looking at it just at a different angle than, I mean, you guys are thinking, okay, culture, and that's ideal. That's an ideal situation. I think we're just thinking like right now,
black
how
and
it
white
stands.
right now.
Yeah.
Pick 'em up, pick 'em up,
just
So,
pick 'em up.
but-
Here you go. Yeah,
But we could talk all day.
yeah. We
we're
didn't even
pushing.
fight each other.
That's why we're on this podcast.
Yeah, we're not fighting.
That's why.
No
podcasts-
elbows were thrown.
Yeah,
We're good.
podcasts
I
are
mean,
some
we're
people talking.
and we hope that somebody, if you guys are watching this, go ahead and comment and whatever you guys want to
think we
talk
should
about or think about it.
Maybe put a poll out. See what
Put a poll
see what the
on the
people think.
podcast. The problem is we got so
not
many
on the
people
podcast, but maybe
clicking and
some-
likes and sharing, and well, ain't nobody going to look at the podcast hardly. We
No,
got
I mean like after the podcast, we maybe put.
We gotta
this
put some
poll-
nuggets.
okay, put some. Okay.
We got to put some nuggets in the middle.
Well,
of
we
the
got to
thing.
figure out a way
Like,
to
if you make
word
it
it
to here-
because I know I'm right. I still know I'm right.
Oh god.
I'm still praying for you.
I
brother.
think the culture thing
Cut.
is that
Yeah.
and that's, so I mean I can talk all day about culture and
Especially being a coach.
and then
I feel for you.
we've all came from all of us grew up in small towns, and y'all alluded to it as to see that high school coach show up to your little league practice or your junior high practice, like that was real big. And I grew up, all I knew was I just wanted to be a Plainview Bulldog and run out that tunnel on Friday nights. That's all, or come out that gym from underneath, and that's all I wanted to be. And that to me, culture is what it's all about. And so, like I said, we can talk all day about that, but
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and close this one off. I mean, we're pushing a little
off the sideline.
yeah.
Can I make a bold
Nightcap.
statement this
We'll
week?
push it.
Uh-oh.
You're 0 for 2. Hold on.
Whoa. Last time we got
Hold
death
on.
threats. Let's slow it
I
down.
want to make a positive
All right,
bold
let's
statement.
go for his bold prediction real quick before we close up.
And I could be wrong about this, but this is just something I
You
want.
are 0 for 2.
Yeah, I want to see this. I want my bold prediction is City View beats Shallowater, Holiday beats Childress to have the rematch.
And stop there.
Round
That's
3.
what I was gonna say.
And
I
then,
like
Round
it.
three.
All right.
and then tell them to
Hey.
drive all the way back here so everybody else can watch it and not be in Lubbock.
Can we turn it on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get the game back this
We
way.
not-
Hey, I think that would be fantastic, and I think the way that City View's playing right now, and the way the Holiday's playing, I don't. Like I said earlier, I think it's going to be a tougher battle.
You
for
got a
City View,
dude.
but William
Only thing
Jordan
with-
II's playing lights out, man.
Only thing
Like,
bad for Holiday is that they've already played Childress, so that's so
It's always harder to
beat a team
What?
twice.
those teams.
How many do Jordan got to score?
My prediction is for City View. The recipe for me is if he scores 30, they haven't lost a game all year. If
That's
they
what I
score
think he
30.
got to do. And at
That-
this time, you got to be a Jay Gould. You got to take over. We talk about others and stuff. Like this ain't the time for. I
Well,
bought
you-
you to
you
this
do have
dance,
one other.
and I'm
You
gonna
got-
dance.
In
you got
March,
Jalil, who's got to
Stars,
play defense.
That
Again,
kid
lock that kid down.
We can hold a whole. We got to make a highlight tape of his defense because I watched Brock. Right, that's who. Peaster. I watched. Peaster's best player was their point guard, number 1, I believe. He was cramping up. During the third and fourth quarter, he could not make it past half. He would pass the ball. He'd pass the ball and walk, and could not get. He couldn't walk across half court. And Jalil was still there in his face. Probably could tell you what he ate
played good
for
defense,
lunch
man.
and everything else. But I think I don't want to put too much pressure on any kid just because I've been there, I've done it, and we all have. But I feel like William Jordan leadership is going to be the biggest thing. I think he can score 15, but if he's leading his team the right way and making people confident and then showing that he believes in his teammates, I feel like that's one thing if I can harp on him a little bit, and I think I can, but just because I know his dad really well, I know him really well, that he shows a little bit too much bad emotion.
And
like,
it's for me, and I told him this.
mhm.
I spoke to him, not in person, but through messages. I said, "Your body language, man. You gotta fix it."
I feel like
I saw a little bit of it in the last game.
If he shows he
But
believes,
I fully
that,
agree with
that
you.
dog in him, and he's plenty of capable to go get 35, 40 points. I think he's capable of that. But from a leader standpoint, you make Desmond Whiteside, you have Jaleel, the Bryan kid, all their team. If you show, hey, we here and I got y'all's back, you know what I mean? The win, lose or draw, turnover, whatever. If he shows that leadership, because they're capable, man. Those
They're
boys
playing
can
really
hoop.
good right
Those
now.
boys got a lot. I feel like each individual player has more they can get to. I feel like I don't think Desmond Whiteside's played his best all around game.
He hasn't had a complete game.
Yeah, he have a good offensive game, a good defensive game here and there. Like Jaleel, good defensive game. Jaleel can score the ball. Like Jaleel was a top point guard coming out of middle school. Like he did everything, not just defense. If I feel like giving that confidence to his teammates, I feel like that would make it them dangerous. Good teams, one player not gonna win a game. Like in March, man, you got to have some special stuff.
Yeah, other cats
got to
help you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think for Holiday, I think Keaton's gonna do his thing.
Yeah. You can chalk his 20 and 10.
I think Barry and Grant Cox got to have big games, and not necessarily statistically scoring. If they dominate the glass, because one thing I've noticed, because I've watched Childress play a couple times this year, they are a tough group of kids because they're a football group.
Yeah.
They're a football group of kids, so they're strong. You're not gonna bully them and push them around because statistically Holiday is always strong.
Yeah, they're a football group with Keaton.
Yeah, so they're not gonna be able to just muscle them around, and they're gonna also get up and down that court. So yeah, the athletic, you can't just have athletic them. Of course, Keaton is the X factor, but they do have guys that they can put on Keaton to try to be more physical with him. I think you have two good games of Friday.
Yeah.
Two good.
I promise this is the last thing. One, hopefully Jeff, you can go do this.
I'm
The
about to fall
stats on
asleep.
this. The stats on this. Has Keaton gotten foul trouble at all this year?
Kid
Holiday's
doesn't foul.
coach.
He's smart.
Holidays, no, I feel like it's more scheme than anything. They put
hide
them in
him.
the middle of those zones, and they of course you have to. It's
Ain't nobody gonna want to shoot over.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Here, but I'm past him.
The coach, that's a compliment to him how he kept that kid. He's smart. He's done a great job coaching that team. He switches up
almost
his defense.
every minute.
Yeah, he switches up his defense. He keeps him out of foul trouble. For that kid to block as many shots he does, rebound the way he does, to keep him out of foul trouble, that's great coaching.
Yeah, I agree. And Keaton's smart. He's a smart kid. And that's another thing about Megan too. She's smart too. Whenever she got to harp on our number ones, she gets in foul trouble, but it's always hard. You got the younger kids that they get in foul trouble. They just lose control.
Yeah.
And I think that's why your number ones are your number ones, because it takes more than just the
Scoring points.
The scoring points is
Yeah.
how can I help my team, and then I got to be mentally smart, right?
Yeah.
We always talk about it from a coaching standpoint, of basketball IQ or football IQ, and those players have those type of IQs to where I can't do that again. Now, if I can only just teach my daughter that sometimes.
I'm gonna give up this layup. I'm not getting.
I ain't gonna foul. Yeah,
I
got two. I don't want to make a third foul, but
All right. Well, I appreciate everybody sticking around. Hopefully, you guys stuck around to the end of this episode. I think we did good today, men. Good points, good topics. We agree to disagree, but I think we're all kind of together, still knowing that both sides have a little truth and validity.
we
to
are
it.
rooting on the lady. Indians.
So
Yes, sir.
yes,
State
we'll go
champions.
out.
What podcast?
Hopefully by the time the podcast is out, hopefully it gets out tomorrow, which would be Thursday. So go Lady Indians,
I'm going to
beat
the
Wellington,
parade.
beat the other team in the championship, and bring home the gold. That would be awesome. first place state champs. And then hopefully we get one of the two 940
Hopefully.
Wichita,
Yeah.
you know, right here
It sucks they
with
gotta
us.
knock each
Yeah.
other out.
I know, it does suck that they got to play each other, but
Give us one of
we're
them.
rooting. Yeah, we're rooting for both of them. And then hopefully one of them makes it, and we'll be rooting for them all the way to state and through state.
Oh, yeah, Benjamin and
Benjamin plays.
and
Newcastle.
Newcastle.
Newcastle
Yeah, I was
too,
seeing
yeah.
green, but I
We're
couldn't
going-
come out. Yeah.
We're rooting for all of them, and we will start coverage on those teams very soon. So, again, thanks for being here. Hope you guys enjoyed the show, and yeah, have a good night or a good day. Appreciate you guys. See ya.